is Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. A talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Randy Schwentker. Now we're going to be discussing Randy's incredible book, The Pictorial History of New Haven, Missouri Advertising. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's a lot of other places, man, but a one-stop shop to gather it all. Yeah, that's his personal website, authorrandyschwentker.com. There, gather more information on Randy, on his books, hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. Man, I'm telling you, it's a one-stop shop. Again, authorrandyschwentker.com. And I quickly want to take this opportunity and point out the fact that Randy was brought to us by City of Books. So for my writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process and now you find yourself in a precarious position because now you need some assistance moving that masterpiece that you just developed, well, head on over to cityofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Randy here on the line. People, listen, do me a favor, okay? We're gonna try something here quickly. Go ahead and close your eyes for me. All right, I want you to picture Main Street, wherever that is for you in your mind's eye. But I don't want you to picture it through a postcard. I want you to see it through ads. Now follow me here, okay? I want you to see the hand-painted sign for the soda shop, right? The flyer for a long-gone department store. You see, these forgotten artifacts, man, they're much more than just paper and ink. All right, they are the secret diary of sorts of a town's dreams. And today we are sitting down with Randy, who has spent a lifetime collecting these echoes of commerce to write the hidden history of New Haven, Missouri. This is a book that is immensely compelling. And I promise you, once you pick it up and you read it, you're going to understand why I say that. But more importantly, you're now going to look inwardly. You're going to think back to your city, to your upbringing. You're going to remember these advertisements that maybe were lost to history, but it's going to bring back something that is visceral, something that you can taste, you can remember, and it's going to be a walk down memory lane. Sit back, strap in. We are about to have a magnificent journey here with Randy. But what it's going to do for you and those around you, I think, is really where the power lies. Let's get it going. Randy, first and foremost, man, welcome to People of Distinction. And thank you very much for being a guest with us. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, and thank you very much.
Randy, listen, I love what you've comprised here, man, because at first glance, it hits you a little sideways. You're looking at it, you're talking about, wait, a book about ads for this particular, like, why would someone do that? But upon more research and really thinking about it, man, you hit on something that I think is very valuable. And we're going to get into a lot of that discussion. But first and foremost, start off by telling us about yourself.
I've always had a little background and interest in art throughout school, but then I became interested in drafting and technical illustrating, which kind of kept me in the art aspect. After being a draftsman for about 10 years, I pursued a career in technical writing and illustrating for a company that built printing presses for 33 years. So I created parts books and then went on to writing operator and service manuals. Except I've never really thought about writing a book. And it really came in handy when I was writing the technical manuals, and that helped a lot with writing this book too. But I'm a collector of local history. My next door neighbor was very influential in that. She guided me. She would have never thought I would have wrote a book, though. That's for sure. Neither did I. But since writing the book of the history of New Haven, I did it through my eyes, and I hope to share it with everybody else. And it's amazing the feedback that I've been getting.
Listen,
So,
Randy, the obvious next question, man, is connect the dots. How did you begin as an author?
writing these books, these technical books, all those years, it was boring, very boring, step by step. I wanted something that people could look at, the color, just the artwork and everything, that it's a feast for your eyes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a whole lot of writing that I had to do for it. Just the front page, second page, and then the rest of it took off on its own. But it took more time collecting a lot of this. And I went to other people's collections too. And they were very open with me and happy that I was doing this because it brought the memory of their forefathers to light also.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's what I was meant to do.
Randy, I think you hit on something that's so powerful and really what I mentioned in the opening, right? Like it's a walk down memory lane, but it is something that is much more powerful and much more compelling than just images that we are seeing. We are truly living history again by witnessing these things. And like I mentioned, you've done it in such a creative way by collecting these advertisements. And without further ado, man, let's jump into the book now, The Pictorial History of New Haven, Missouri Advertising. Tell us more about it.
Okay, it's just a graphic history of the small town in New Haven, Missouri, where I grew up in. Looking at the history of this book, its advertising was created. The advertising was created for local use, but after a certain time, it was thrown away. People didn't think about it. I was very lucky to be able to find a lot of this advertising, because after it's gone, it's never gonna be around again. And as the book reveals too, there's different types of advertising. There's postcards, there's signage, there's schools, churches, whatever. Every way that any conceivable advertisement could have been made, that's what I tried to gather. And it just fell together for me.
Yeah. Randy, you mentioned before the writing of the book was actually pretty easy in comparison to finding the advertisements that you have in the book.
Yeah.
Walk us through this experience, man, of writing the book.
Okay, like I said, I've been collecting advertising for over 40 years. And in the process, I gained a lot of knowledge for those years. And I just had to document a lot of this. It started in 1995 when I started this project. And having a background in technical writing for manuals and such really helps enormously with the structure of the book, going through, like for the electronic versions, hyperlinking and everything. It just made it so easy. You try to make it so it's easy to navigate the electronic format, but for the printed format, not so much. It's just page by page. And it was intended to be a coffee table book. And that's what it is. Something you can sit down and look at for hours.
Yeah.
And that's the responses that I've been getting from people.
Randy, let's move on to your title next, man. Very straightforward with regards to the content to be found, but I'm curious because I know from speaking with a lot of other writers in the past, that is a process and a journey in and of itself. So walk us through why you chose this to be the title and the representation for your book.
With my background in writing technical manuals, that came in very handy. I went for simplicity and right to the point. And the title states what the book is about. Don't deviate. I didn't want to deviate from that. And that was my training with technical documentation. Is you don't deviate. You get right to the point. Although it may be a little boring for that title, but it's succinct. It covers it.
Well, listen, people are not going to have to beat around the bush when it comes to that, man. Like I said, the title is very straightforward. You know exactly what to expect here. But expectation is one thing. The actual journey in and of itself is so magnificent. And people, that's why I'm telling you, you got to head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Check out the website, authorrandyschwentker.com. Again, the book is entitled The Pictorial History of New Haven, Missouri Advertising. You're going to want to pick this up, add it to your shelf, add it to your coffee table. That was what it was intended for. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a fantastic read and a wonderful journey for you and those around you. We talked about the book. We talked about the inspiration behind it, even the title. Randy, now, what else would you like our listeners to know?
Basically, I want to share what I've gathered over the years and help them understand preservation of the hometown heritage and all that. I also want to share who was my inspiration for this, was my next door neighbor. She moved to New Haven in 1931, became a school teacher. Her name was Leela Wilkinson, and she was the town historian for many years. She influenced me very early on. And although I don't think she would ever thought that I would have done this, but neither did I. But it's just, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time with the right people. And I lived in an old section of town where there was a lot of former business people who lived there. And I was able to glean their memories and all of that. And that really helped. I was very fortunate in that. And a lot of the ancestors, or not the ancestors, the descendants of these business people still have a lot of these artifacts. And they were so happy to share them with me so that I could document them. I have two doors down. I have a neighbor who had one of the oldest businesses in town. And he was very helpful. And the message that I get that people will take away from the book, too, is don't necessarily live in the past, but remember when times were simpler and when everything was going to be an adventure and learning.
Yeah.
You don't dwell on the past, but it doesn't mean you can't remember it because there's a fond memory there. And that made it all worthwhile writing the book.
Randy, I think that's what I'm constantly reminded of. Throughout this interview, this discussion that we've had, listen, your book is great, but it really is it's a gateway to something that I think is profound, right? Because like I mentioned when we first began the interview, and I'm painting this picture, and I think that there's something beautiful about the message that oftentimes gets missed. Like when we're walking through our lives, when we're at our local restaurant, we see menus, we see logos, or even online, we see social posts. We inherently, just first off, we look at that as a form of commerce. And it is. But in actuality, those are future artifacts, right? And when you examine it from that perspective, man, there is something that is so beautiful about that notion. So people, listen, this book, this discussion is just another reminder that history isn't just found in textbooks. It's buried in our everyday lives, waiting for a curious person to dig it up. And in this instance, that happens to be Randy. But you yourself might just be the next one to do it for your town. So I'm going to say it again. It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, most importantly, author randyschwentker.com. Pick up your copies of this amazing book today, and hopefully it inspires you to start that journey for yourself. Randy, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Such a delight. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you, Benji. I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me, and it was nice meeting you and talking with you.